What is up, guys? Happy Thanksgiving. Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. I'm just going to do a quick video here today highlighting the 3 games on Thursday, and then I might even dip into the game on Friday. So let's hop right into a screen share. This is just going to be a quick 10 to 15 minute video for you guys to prep you for all the games coming up. And then, yeah, let's get right into it. We do have the start sit charts available on the fantasyfellowship.com. That's what we're going to be looking at here. The first game tomorrow morning is going to be the Packers at the Lions. Lions 7.5-point favorites, 47.5 implied in this one. I think this one could be kind of fun. High scoring game potentially here. You know the lines that you're starting. You're starting Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, I should probably spell his name right, David Montgomery, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I think you do got to put in Sam Laporta. Now, these teams played on Thursday Night Football back in Week 4. That was the David Montgomery 3-touchdown game. I believe Amon-Ra St. Brown also scored a touchdown in that one. I don't think Laporta had a big game yet, but it could happen in this one here against the Packers. Now, I did add, so this is a new feature I've added to the charts. I have the fantasy points allowed chart, the numbers here. So versus quarterback, the Packers are 9th against quarterback, allowing about 14.5 points per game. So it's not a great matchup for Jared Goff. I do think he's going to get 1 passing touchdown. The question is, can he get to 2? Now you have the running backs where the Packers, that's where they allow the most fantasy points to the positions here. So they rank 21st against the running back. I like Gibbs. I like Montgomery a lot. This one might be a Montgomery game, a game where the Lions could control the game and run the ball in the second half. Not so good or not so great matchups here for the wide receivers. So you're still playing St. Brown, but I'm not interested in anybody else. And then tight end, the Packers are okay. They rank 11th here. So Packers are misleadingly tough defense for fantasy. Not so great of a defense in real life, but they do limit the fantasy points here. So Lions, start your guys here. I think the Lions defense is startable. I'm not super excited about it just because the game does have a high implied total. But Jameson Williams, Josh Reynolds, DPJ, we'll leave these guys here on the bench. But I do want to see if Donovan Peoples-Jones gets more run this week. On the Packers side, I think Jordan Love is a super flex QB2 option. If you need him as a QB1, I'm open to it. The Lions do rank 25th against quarterbacks, so they're leaky against QBs and wide receivers and tight ends. So it's a good spot for the Packers passing offense. And right now, man, the Packers offense, it's dinged up. They just put Luke Musgrave on IR today. He's got a kidney laceration, so we might not see him again the rest of the year. That sounds pretty bad. So no Jones, no Musgrave, and probably no Dontavian Wicks. That's going to leave them just with Dobbs, Reed, Watson, and of course, A.J. Dillon here. So Love, I'm interested. Again, I think the Packers are going to have to throw the ball to play keep up. And if they are winning the game, it's because Love threw the ball and had success through the air. A.J. Dillon can be a low-end RB2 flex play. The Lions are very stingy, though, against running backs here. They rank 5th best, allowing 16.63 points per game. Maybe Dillon gets 8 to 12 points as a floor. I think Romeo Dobbs is a touchdown machine. He went 9 for 95 in this game back in Week 4. He could be the leading receiver again. Jaden Reed, man, you should have picked him up on the waiver wires. He's looking good. He's a wide receiver 3 flex. And I know Christian Watson's been very, very frustrating lately. He caught a touchdown last weekend, though. Maybe momentum starts to build here. Again, I'm expecting Love to have to throw the ball to these 3 players. Probably not the Packers defense. I don't think Dontavian Wicks is going to play. I'll label him as questionable. And then I do have Patrick Taylor and Tucker Kraft here. Tucker Kraft's going to be the starting tight end in this one here. So keep an eye on Tucker Kraft. But Packers-Lions, Packers are dinged up right now. I'm not super in love with the matchup here. You have some defensive players also maybe not playing in this one, so it's tough. Lions should be able to hold their own here. But let's move on to the Commanders at the Cowboys. 1 second. Alrighty, so Commanders at Dallas. This is the afternoon game here, probably while you're eating food on Thursday. The Cowboys 11-point favorites at home, 48.5 implied in this one. This one might be fun for fantasy football, and it might even be fun for real life. The Cowboys are one of the hottest teams right now. You're starting Dak Prescott if you have him as your QB1. Finally, a little bit of sign of life from Tony Pollard last weekend. I think it's a decent matchup. The Commanders do rank 20th against running backs, allowing about 22.2 PPR points. And we're watching the health of Rico Dowdle. I did see that Dowdle is listed as questionable in this one here. He hurt his ankle in practice last week. He still played in Week 11, but we're monitoring that. If he's out, that might mean more on the plate for Tony P. Continue to start him. Obviously, you're starting CeeDee Lamb. I'm open to Jake Ferguson being a top 10 tight end play. Not the best matchup. The the Commanders are about average here against the tight end, 11.68 points per game in full PPR. And then the guy to keep an eye on is Brandon Cooks, because the matchup here dictates that the Commanders allow a ton of points to the QB. They allow the most fantasy points to quarterbacks right now, about 21.45. And just a reminder here that my scoring format shows 4 points for passing touchdowns. So if you play in 4-point passing leagues, the Commanders do rank worst. And then they rank 30th against wide receivers. So I love the Dak to CD maneuver here. But Brandon Cooks, can he maybe get involved? He's the clear number 2 receiver. He's actually been playing well in the last month or so. If you need wide receiver 3 flex help, he can be of service. And then you got to start the Cowboys defense. The Commanders are still giving up a lot of sacks and turnovers here. Howell just threw 3 ins last weekend. And Cowboys have like 4 or 5 touchdowns on the year. So continue to start them. Again, we're going to watch the health of Rico Dowdle. I don't think Gallup and Tolbert should be trusted, but I'll note that maybe they can make a pop off for a play or two. On the Commander side, Sam Howell is just a QB2 for Superflex for me. I'm not super excited about him in a 1 QB league. He managed to put up a decent fantasy day last weekend playing from behind, but this is a much different team. Don't know if he's going to be able to do that. So QB2 for Superflex. We're watching the health of Antonio Gibson here. I thought I saw a note on Gibson. Let me double check here. He's questionable. He was limited in practice this week. Didn't play with the toe. We'll see if he can play. If he can't go, that means Brian Robinson's locked into a featured RB1 role again. And man, he's been looking good as a receiving weapon. So I like Brian Robinson. Even if Gibson plays, just with the toe injury, I think I'm playing Brian Robinson as my RB2. The receivers, the only one that's must start is Terry McLaurin. I know he's been kind of frustrating this year, but you got to play him. Commanders are going to have to throw the ball in this one. Logan Thomas could maybe be your tight end 1. And then Dotson, Curtis Samuel. If Gibson's out, I'm more interested in Dotson and Samuel because there's more targets up for grabs. Gibson has been getting a lot of looks as a receiver, so we'll monitor that. But Dotson and Samuel, not the best plays this weekend. The Cowboys have a really good freaking defense. They rank 5th best against the quarterback, under 14 points per game. They're pretty good against running backs too. They rank 6th best. They rank 2nd best against opponent wide receivers. The one spot they allow points, though, is the tight end spot. So maybe, Thomas and Terry McLaurin can be of use here. But fun game. I expect the Cowboys offense to roll, and I expect them to put up a lot of big plays against this Commanders secondary. So CeeDee Lamb Day. Happy CeeDee Lamb Day to everybody. And then the nightcap. A fun nightcap here, divisional matchup between the 49ers and the Seahawks. They're all divisional matchups in this one. It's kind of weird. I think they made them all NFC games for the first time in a while. So interesting that Thanksgiving is all NFC. But hey, the Black Friday game will be AFC. But anyways, 49ers, 6.5-point favorites here on the road, 43-point implied total. We're watching the health of Geno Smith, DK Metcalf, and Kenneth Walker, who I'm assuming is not going to play in this one. I don't have the full practice reports here yet for Wednesday. I'm expecting DK Metcalf to practice. I'm expecting Geno Smith to get a limited practice in. He was limited yesterday. So it sounds like Geno Smith's going to play. Kenneth Walker hasn't practiced all week. He might be out this game and maybe next game. So it's the Zach Charbonnet game here. But DK Metcalf, no injury designation on Monday. It looks like just a day off on Tuesday. It is a new injury designation, though, with a toe. So if he doesn't practice today, I'll be concerned. But for now, I'm assuming DK Metcalf's in. So with that being said, Geno Smith, quarterback 2 for Superflex leagues. The 49ers just put one of their star safeties, Hufanga, on the IR. So it is a soft matchup here. The 49ers do rank really good against quarterbacks. They rank 3rd best, 12.47 points per game, but they allow a lot of wide receiver points here. 26th they rank with 37.73 points per game. No starting safety. Maybe it's a decent Geno Smith QB2 day. Zach Charbonnet, you're going to start Zach Charbonnet. You got to take advantage of this non-Geno Smith day. He's had double-digit PPR points in the last 2 games. And one of those games was without Kenneth Walker. One was with him. So I think you're looking at a floor of 10 to 12 points here. The 49ers are okay against running back. They rank 11th, but 18.46 PPR per game. If Charbonnet came out and got 12 to 14 points, I wouldn't be surprised. If he gets a touchdown, that's what's going to get him to that 18-20 range. You're starting DK Metcalf if and when he plays, and then I think you're starting Tyler Lockett in this one too. We mentioned that the 49ers, the way to beat them is to throw the ball on them deep. And then JSN can be a wide receiver 3 flex for you. Probably not interested in the Seattle Seahawks defense, and we'll leave these guys here on the bench. DJ Dallas, Jake Bobo, and again, no Kenneth Walker. But anyways, let's look at the 49ers side. Before we look at that, I want to look at I do want to look here at the fantasy points allowed. Seattle's defense, they're the worst against running backs. They rank 28th, 25 points per game here. Against the QB, though, they're middle of the road. They're kind of middle of the road against QBs, receivers, and tight ends. So it's good matchups across the board for the 49ers. I think you're using Brock Purdy as a top 10 quarterback this weekend. You're starting Christian McCaffrey. You got to start Brandon Ayuk. And I know Deebo Samuel is kind of up and down, boom bust, but he's got a high floor in this one. He's going to hit his 8 to 10 points as a floor. It's just a question: is this a Deebo game? He's kind of due for a big game, so make sure you get Deebo in your lineup. And then, yeah, if you have Kittle, you're playing George Kittle in this one. You're starting all the 49ers that you own. You can start that 49ers defense as well. Elijah Mitchell continues to be an essential handcuff hold. Jennings and Jordan Mason just leave these guys on the bench. So I'm excited for this one. The division's kind of on the line in this game here. Seattle kind of slumping. They lost a tough game to the Rams the other day, and now the NFC West here has San Francisco on top. They could really take a 2.5 game lead if they beat Seattle. If Seattle wins, of course, that's where it could get a little bit interesting. But hey, those are the Thanksgiving games. I'm going to cover the Black Friday game real quick, and it literally is a Black Friday game. On the Jets side, I don't even really want to talk about it. It's Tim Boyle starting, former Packers backup. Really, the only guys that we can throw in our lineup is Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. I don't even know if I trust Garrett Wilson in this one. He's more of a wide receiver 3 flex. Let me know if you have questions there. But you can play Breece Hall. He's going to get the volume. Other than that, I don't want to touch the Jets. But the Jets got a good defense. They rank number 1 against wide receivers. They rank number 11 against quarterbacks, and then they do allow running back and tight end points. So with that being said, on the Dolphins side, which we care about for fantasy, you're starting Tyreek. I think you can start Tua, but again, I mentioned it's a tough matchup for Tua. You know, if you're comfortable just locking in 14 to 16 points with Tua, that's probably where he's going to be. I would be shocked if he goes over 20. You'd have to throw, 3 touchdowns in order to do that. And they are 10-point favorites, so they might not have to push the issue in this one. I think you want to start Raheem Mostert just with Devon Achane banged up. We don't have an injury status on him yet, so we'll watch for that later tonight and tomorrow. But I'm expecting him not to play. It's going to be Raheem Mostert day. Play him if you have him. The question's probably with Jalen Waddle. Again, this Jets team's really good against wide receivers. I don't know if there's room for both Tyreek and Tua to hit. But I think if you have Waddle, you probably got to play him. Let me know if you have questions on Jalen Waddle. He's probably more of a wide receiver 3 flex than I have here as the wide receiver 2. If Devon Achane plays, I don't really trust him personally. The knee is re-injured. Don't really know what's going to happen here. So I'm leaning towards not playing Achane. Start the Dolphins defense against Tim Boyle. And then, hey, Salvin Ahmed, I believe, got put on IR. I'll have to double check that. So we might see Jeff Wilson step up in this one. And I'm interested in Wilson. If he's available on your waiver wires, pick him up. You have Ahmed and Achane hurt right now. So maybe Wilson steps in as RB2. I don't know, kind of a disappointing game here on Black Friday. Dolphins, Jets, I expect Tyreek and Tua to do their thing, and maybe Waddle and Mostert can have some fun as well. But that's it. That is the Black Friday and Thanksgiving game. I might be putting out a video covering the Sunday games and the Monday game, but look for that maybe on Friday. I'm not quite sure. It's a weird week with Thanksgiving. I can't do my full normal fantasy football schedule. But either way, thank you guys. Enjoy. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you on the other side. Peace.